reason we're here in 1943 Tunisia is that the British and Commonwealth forces are pushing the Germans and the Italians deep back into Tunisia. The Americans have landed in Morocco under Operation Torch, and here you'll see the Long Range Desert Group making a patrol. Now, the Long Range Desert Group were a special forces unit commanded by a chap called Bagnall, who was a superb navigator of the desert. The Long Range Desert Group operated deep behind enemy lines, mainly doing reconnaissance work. And you'll see there's 4 jeeps here, 2 of which are in blue and sand coloured, and that was because the predominant colours of the desert were sky blue and the sand. Later in the war, the Long Range Desert Group moved away from their traditional road watch and observation of the enemy to actually performing some offensive action. What you're seeing here is the 2 units making a fuel dump and supply dump when they go off to do some raids on German airfields and Italian supply lines. The Long Range Desert Group often operated 600 miles behind enemy lines, so they had to take all their food, fuel, supply and water with them. When they went operational like this, then they'd have to put some fuel and supplies into a dump hidden so that the enemy wouldn't find it, and so when they finished their operation they had fuel to get back to their forward operating base, which was still behind enemy lines. After their first failed attempt at parachuting into the desert, when they got picked up by the Long Range Desert Group, that the Jeep was probably the way to go for operational attack. So David Sterling from the SAS basically copied and mimicked what the LRDG have been doing for a number of years. So you'll see some of the troops there, they're shaking each other's hand because the 2 groups are going to split off to do 2 different patrols. You'll notice one of the drivers of the Jeep has got a red feathers in his cap. He's from one of the Scottish regiments. Now, when the Scots first came to North Africa in 1941, the Black Watch didn't know what that yellow thing in the sky was. They hadn't seen sun. The patrol is splitting off into 2 groups. So one going off to attack the Germans and the other one going off to attack the Italian supply lines. Now, the Italians get short shrift a lot of the time for their efforts in North Africa. But what you see here, now I've got to get my pronunciations right, are the Folgorore paratroopers and the Balisieri assault engineers, who were elite troops. 70% of the German Africa Corps was actually made up of Italians. Now, these are crack units. They're not necessarily conscripts, they are people, officers, men that actually wanted to go into the army. Now, we imagine a bit of time travel here. It's moved on 3 days. So the Italians are now making a patrol. They know that there's some Long Range Desert Group in the area and they're out looking for them. So the officer has noticed something and he's sending two troops up to go and have a look and see what they see. And you'll see behind there's some German units in support. And these are the 15th Panzer Division. You've got the Fallschirmjäger, which were the Luftwaffe paratroopers, and they all came together to form the Africa Corps. So the Italians have found the fuel dump and the supplies, and the Germans are coming up to have a look too. You notice that the Germans have got Kübelwagens, very similar to the Jeep. They're actually two-wheel drive, rear engine, very similar to a Volkswagen Beetle. But they were very, very capable off-road because the engine was over the rear axle, the front end was quite light, and it handled very well on the sand. They found the supplies, they found some rations, and they're probably not that keen on bully beef, but you never know, they might quite enjoy it with some pasta. So clearly, after a long march, they're quite enjoying having some fresh water. The long-range desert group have left them. And, you know, the life in the desert was hard. You had 40-degree heat during the day and -4 to -10 during the night. So the conditions were very harsh. 80% of our casualties weren't from battle, it was from things like desert sores. So the motorcyclists in their patrol have seen members of the long-range desert group, so they were making a tactical withdrawal and forming a defensive line. So they're now engaging with the long-range desert group. So the first jeep has been taken out by the Italians. The friend gunner is out trying to put some fire down. There's a very graceful dying going on out there, I can tell you. And sadly, one of the long-range desert group jeeps has been completely taken out by the Italians. And the Germans are regrouping, and they're going to give chase. So the Brits are going to move up and have a look to see if any of their troops from the jeep are still alive. And there's a remarkable act of bravery going on there with one of the Commonwealth troops holding the group back. So the German infantry, including the Fallschirmjäger, are moving up, and the Brits are trying to get into cover. The German commanders in the back in their field Kübelwagen are directing the fire. Now the Brits have taken a hammer in here, there's no tea and tipping for them. better move out of the way because I'm in the firing line here. So as you can see, the Brits are moving up. They've got a selection of weapons, including the short magazine Lee Enfield rifle, which was first used in World War One and continued right the way through the North Africa campaign. Now they've seen the disabled Jeep, and they're quite casually walking. They're not, one or two are starting to get a bit concerned. The Italians have fired up, and the Brits are trying to return fire. The overwhelming firepower of the 50 calibre machine guns and the machine guns on the Jeep, the Italians have started to move back. The long-range desert group are now joining in the action. Although the Germans are still putting down an awful lot of fire, so the raiders are coming in hard and fast. And if you would like to see an airborne Jeep, that was one there. So there's complete chaos on the battlefield, as you can see. Warfare like this is often complex, it is fast, it is furious, and sometimes it is very short-lived. It's often the case in the battle, particularly when you have very mobile units such as the SAS and the long-range desert group. The Germans have just blown the fuel dump, which means that the long-range desert group haven't got much fuel left. Just blown up the fuel dump. They don't want the LRDG to get the fuel. So the Italians and the Germans have made a tactical withdrawal under that immense firepower of the long-range desert group. To take any units back. Meanwhile, the machine gun of the Italians, they have surrendered, so the long-range desert group has disarmed them and moving them on. Some of the Germans realise that the game is up for them, whilst the remainder of the Germans make a quick exit from the battlefield. The long-range desert group are now taken prisoners, so the Germans are still trying to fight. They hold some of the Germans because the overwhelming firepower has surrendered.
Such a shame.
I swear it's a try, but I'm honest.
Coming. And of course he's actually...
Yeah.